So what has the success of the millennial mind? I heard when you were speaking earlier, you were just post that up there and people will be like, nah boy, Daniel, boy, you have to do this, you have to follow through with this. The success, what has that meant for you on a personal level? Let's take off the Daniel Francis, the author hat. For the individual inside, how did that make you feel? I mean, obviously good, but there must be some substance there.
I feel like every time I get questions like this, it's just so hard for me to answer. One of my bad traits is not sitting and taking time to really bask in an accomplishment.
Yeah, bask in the ambience.
Right? I know it's ambience. It's even harder to do when you're in COVID.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can go celebrate.
Correct.
You're just home, right? Mm-hmm. But this year was, I have achievements that I've never experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And I knew it was just the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I was so focused on weekly targets and monthly targets because I knew that if I started to zone out and I started to feel like I was this big shot or whatever, I would start to decline, right?
So you're just trying to keep yourself humble and grounded.
Yeah, like after the book launch, and when it was like 500 books sold in the first month. Yes. For me, I saw that, but all I saw was my goal was 2,500 books in a year, right? So even when I'm seeing things happening, I'm thinking I need to get to 25.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the target.
Yeah. It's like 3,000, and people are like, oh, you're doing so good, and you get these nominations and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, yeah, but it's like so much more to do, But it really has been a blessing. What it really showed me, and this is what I think terrified me the most when I started, besides not knowing how it would be received, because that level of criticism can be scary. Because imagine you're right,
you need to have some thick skin, bro.
Because there's a big difference between you putting out a social media post and people saying, oh, that's crap, or this is good.
Yeah.
This is 30,000 words.
Yes.
Your words. Being
Being
read by hundreds. Yeah. So I was afraid of that scrutiny, what people would say, right? I held close to my vision and how I wanted people to receive my book. But I also held to the fact that I knew who this book was for.
Okay.
So when I got certain feedback, I knew that this book wasn't really for you. Because if you're focusing on one thing that didn't resonate with you and you're obsessed with it, it's like, okay, well, the book probably wasn't for you.
Okay.
But then there are people who say, oh, this story didn't resonate. But you see all of this?
Yeah.
You attacked me. So I loved it. Right? And when they tell me that, I was like, this was for you.
Yes.
Because you can't, as I said earlier, you can't write a book that's for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be able to pick out what is for you.
I definitely grew. I definitely got some proof of what I can do when I fully commit to something and I put my head on it and I toil. And listen, I would be nothing without the people who are around me, the people who support me, because
the fans.
I don't call them fans, I call them friends, because I had people who wanted to buy a book. COVID was hard. They couldn't even spend that money for a book. But best believe every post, every time I said, hey, you can share this, hey, you can retweet this.
Yeah.
They are the first people to be like,
they're on it.
Yeah, man. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's real love there.
And above everything else, that is probably the best part for me, because it showed me something that you don't hear a lot of people saying, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, getting that support. People say it.
Yeah, we actually do not follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't support you, I go buy the book.
Yeah,
right.
I got a lot of support. So
that is great, man. Just have to be thankful for that. Something that came up again in the conversation was COVID.
Yeah.
It's here. We're just gonna have to live with it. Of course, take the necessary precautions. But how has COVID impacted on things like your book promotions? I mean, you really can't go out there no more. Hey, I'm Daniel Francis. This is my book. You can't speak to the masses because I'm sure you would be on some sort of book tour and that kind of thing. So all that has now come to a complete stop. but you can't afford to stop working here. So what is the approach now? We online.
I just want to give some backstory on how actually terrifying that is. Because when I said I went all in, I meant it. I took out a loan for this. I put everything into this.
All in.
Yeah. I'm a big planner. Okay. So I planned everything from November. The plan was in my mind just perfect.
Right.
Paid on early for things. And when the book is supposed to launch in April, COVID comes. Everything shuts down. I've already prepaid for things that I can't get the money back for.
Right.
So now I have less money, less options, and I have to make a decision of, do I launch? If I launch, how do I launch?
And you still have that 2,500 in the back end.
And I still have money that just like, money how to make, how to pay.
Yes.
And it was terrifying. It was really terrifying. And I got to a point where I think there's a millennial thing where we just under some stress, we just don't do anything.
Yeah, just
like a couple of days, just kind of stew in your negativity. But luckily I was able to bounce onto that.
That's great.
We planned a really beautiful virtual launch, and there were so many things that were part of the plan that had to be done in person that couldn't be done.
Yes.
I'm going to get real creative. Okay, so that book tour, it just couldn't really do it because you can't physically be anywhere.
Yes.
But that turned into, you line up these interviews, these podcasts, these online appearances in such a way that I stayed relevant. Okay. Because for everyone you do, you might get 2 sales, but you get an engagement. You line them up enough, it just kind of adds up.
So you just had to adapt. You couldn't allow yourself to be down for so long. You just had to adapt and be like, hey, this is the way things are going to be now. Let's go with it. So what's next?
What's next?
What's next for Daniel Francis?
So many things. When it comes to the millennial mind, actually when it comes to books in general, I want to release like 3 to 5 books next year.
Wow.
I think it's like a capsule, you get one and
you just need to
When I finished writing the first one and I finished the launch in April, I don't know, my mind wouldn't stop coming up with like book ideas and chapter names, and I just kept writing them down for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now to the point where I have a document with like 7 book names and ideas, and it's just for me to sit down and write. And when it comes to the millennial mind, and I see about 3 more books in the series, but then also doing a sub-series outside of it. So the next book, which I'm actually almost done with.
Almost done?
This has like got 2 more chapters to do again. And it's going to be launching in April next year.
Like this April launch, boy.
I said last year when I launched, last year when the Millennial Mind came out, it came out on my birthday. And I made a bold statement that the next book is going to come out on my birthday.
Brother.
Year. So I have to deliver. I'm a man of my word. I have to deliver.
Let's go. Let's get it.
So that is definitely happening, and it's going to start the floodgates of the separate books. And I like continuity. So for each Millennial Mind book, there's like a self-help program that goes in tangent with it. And I'm very, very excited to move to the next portion of my business once those books are out of the way, where I work on educating Caribbean people on how they can write books, self-publish, market those books.
So is it that you want to try and cut out that phase that you went through in terms of when you wanted to get started with writing a book and having to reach out to people and sometimes not getting a response or whatever it is? You want to kind of lay it out there for anybody who has those aspirations kind of thing?
It was just so painful and so much work to get the information I needed. I was just like, I don't think anybody needs to go through this ever again.
Because I mean, going through that might discourage you and be like, you know what, I'm not even going to write this book anymore.
And what if that book is a book that transforms the lives of the whole Caribbean? And what a shame that you don't put that out there because you don't know the process. Or you can't find information. Or you don't have a point of reference for someone who's done it, who you can actually have a conversation with. And I was lucky to get certain people to help me in a certain way. And I said, this has to change because there's so much talent. Listen, when I came up with the book, I met so many local authors. I'm speaking to them and they are telling me the information they have. I'm like, yo, no, you have to do this and you have to do that, and I'm thinking this we have to do more because there's so much potential.
The authors are
like
close.
Whatever. But it's just, I see so much potential and so much good, and it's not just Trinidad. I mean, thanks to LinkedIn and social platforms and things, I'm meeting people in Jamaica and Barbados and St. Kitts and St. Martin, all these places of people want to write books. And when I start putting out this content and supplying this information, I just want to help those people bridge the gap between what they don't know and what they do know. And just start to create those gems, because we have, I'm hearing some ideas, we have so much talent here.
We are overflowing with talent in Trinidad. So, for sure, in April, we're going to get a new book. For sure. After that, you said the personal coaching, you're going back into that?
Well, I have a self-help program based on the book already, so that's how people could just get that whenever. It's called Sculpting Your Millennial Mind. I can't and I still do like my consultations with persons. I try to get people to do the programs, so I don't have to do everything. But
right.
But I mean, you're talking about one book in April, 2 books in July, possibly 2 books in November, and all the while I'm still doing all my regular personal development work. Hopefully, COVID kind of calms down, like workshops. Doing consultations, face-to-face, that kind of stuff.
I mean, with these deadlines that you're putting yourself on, is you're actually challenging yourself, you're actually challenging your mind. How do you deal with writer's block?
Writer's block. I think writer's block is more of a mental thing, as most things are. I think I experienced writer's block the first time last week, and it was more just me putting pressure on myself. Because I had
Is there too much pressure to put on oneself?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have deadlines and you set those deadlines, because I said I want to finish the manuscript by the end of December. I had 27 chapters and I want to do 3 more. And for some reason, I kept saying, these 3 had to be perfect. But that was not the thinking I had for the first 27. The first 27 was just write and fix after. And when I came back into that thinking, it started to flow. But the thing is, writing is a habit. And that's what people don't realize. It's a habit, just like every other thing. So if I say I'm going to write a half an hour every day, an hour every day, and I stick to that, books will flow, Just like if you say you read a half an hour every day, read an hour every day, you get the knowledge that you need to become an expert eventually. It just takes discipline to actually say you're going to do it and then do it daily. And I'm the type of person who understands that the little things I'm doing today, when done over time, will make me a monster in a couple months, a year. It's not a process. That's the big millennial killer, the lack of patience.
We need because of how we are we're so accessible to everything that we need everything now. So if people want to get in contact with you, give us your handles now. Share your handles.
So on Facebook and Instagram, it's Rebit Limited. That's REBIT. That's the business page. Of course, you can reach out to me on my personal page. It's Daniel Francis on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Twitter. Just search Daniel Francis and you'll see it. You'll see a trend with all my social media. It's all along the lines of me giving out free information and tips and keeping that motivation up to the point where I just want, again, to help other people.
How often do you post though?
So so Daniel Francis of 2019, it was 3 times a day. On
structure?
Morning. On Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Twitter was just every half an hour. I was real strict with it, and that's to build the social media presence. Now it's more along the lines of maybe once or twice a day. But what I've learned is that I focus on campaign-driven enterprises. So let's say Q1, January to March will be a campaign. And the posting will be in preparation for that. So you'll find out when I have a campaign, the posting goes up because it's in it's an effort towards something.
Yeah, you're on the trail.
Because it's very hard to post 3 times or 2 times a day every day when you're just on chill mode. You know? Yes. That's why I tell people you need to have a reason for why you're doing something.
So you start with the outcome.
Yeah.
Backward.
Yeah, because
in the planning process.
It's like I had a client, she said she was doing 100 squats a day, but she couldn't keep it up. And I said, well, why are you doing 100 squats? She's like, well, be fit. I was like, what do you even mean? You're trying to build muscle, you're trying to get lean, you're trying to, like, you didn't decide what your outcome is, you decide what your goal is, but you're doing the actions, and that's what people do. We start to do, but we don't know why we do it.
Yeah.
And then we can't continue doing what we're doing.
Because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, I can't know results.
Yeah. You have to know what you're doing.
So we can check you out on Daniel Francis on Facebook. Search for you on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So, I mean, Daniel, this was an absolute pleasure. I feel like if, this conversation was flowing, and we could probably sit out here for hours and talk. But thank you for sharing your experience. I think what you did is you actually placed the listeners in the mind of a reader, in the mind of a writer, in the mind of a millennial trying to find themselves out there. So, without further ado, Daniel, give us some final thoughts. Give us one of these millennial quotes that you have there.
Final thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give a mini, not specific quote from my favorite chapter, Quarter Life Crisis, which basically talks about your life going crazy and you having to try to find that balance.
I feel like you're trying to attack me here again.
I feel like wherever land, if you land in your balance,
yeah.
But so
let's hear it.
And this actually helped me when I was going through that depressed period when I couldn't do things the way I wanted to do in COVID. It basically talked about, this is the life you're given. It may not be perfect, but it is your life. You might feel like everything around you is falling apart, but once you can stick to the things that you can control, you'll be fine. The things that you can control are your thoughts, feelings, your actions. Again, if things are going crazy around you, just know that at the end of the day, you still have the control to not control yourself, right? Because that self-empowerment will trump everything that's going on around you, because you can use that to exact change eventually, right? And believe that.
Almost speechless. I could not have said that any better, and it becomes so relevant, and I'm sure that message would resonate with a lot of our viewers here. Unfortunately, I don't have no big fancy line with that, but I'd like to thank you all for viewing. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and see us next time on the LVM Studios. It's on. Thanks, Daniel.
No problem.